it's Realmathon weekend. Like, it's Realmathon all month, but it's Realmathon's big weekend. And I can't even think what it's called right now. In addition to that, I'm also participating in Booktube Besties Weekend, which starts at 6 o'clock for me tonight. And that is from 6 p.m. to 6 p.m. the next day, with some sleep time in the midst there. And then the Realmathon weekend is 48 hours, so it'll go through Sunday night. So I'm tucked in for a weekend of lots of reading and hanging out with Booktube people and just hopefully having a good time. I have some big reading plans. I'm gonna try to have some big reading plans. I don't really have one just yet, but I do have a few things that I'm considering doing. When it comes to the Realmathon, you get extra points for any book that you start and finish in the 48-hour period of time. So the books that I'm working on right now that I haven't started, I have set aside, and I will get back to those on Monday. So I need to pick good books for Realmathon, and the one that I'm pretty certain I'm going to work on is going to be Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. And the reason I picked this one is because my team is the clerics, and the prompts that are team specific for me are good versus evil and a comfort read. And then for the whole Realmathon, a prompt that you can fulfill for the whole thing is if it's trials, there's trials or something like that in the book. And this one fulfills all of those things. And I know it's a chonker, but it's Harry Potter, and I know that it'll be fast. And I will probably do this one mostly on audio when I am not feeling up to reading. And then I have just one manga that I'm going to read. And I don't typically like to do these for competitive readathons. It feels a little bit unfair, but it's not against the rules. And this one is over 200 pages and actually has quite a bit of content in it. So I think it's fair enough. So I'm gonna use this. And aside from that, it's kind of up in the air, but I do have some ideas for things that I would like to read, potentially, that will fit some of the prompts. The first one is The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. And this one is pretty short. It's less than 300 pages, and it will fit to probably just the comfort read prompt. It really doesn't fit into anything else, but it is short. And I'm sure it will fit some of the other prompts that are in there. So that one I am considering. And then another reread I am considering for this is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. And I read this for the first time last year and loved it. And it's got trials. I would consider it a comfort read. It's good versus evil, so it would hit all of those prompts as well. And then another one I am considering is Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore. I think this will qualify as good versus evil. I don't really know if there's like an evil villain in here, but she was evil, and I think part of the story is that she has to overcome those tendencies for herself. And so I think, if nothing else, for that reason, it would qualify for good versus evil. Plus, it's kind of a cozy, so to be a comfort read. And so those are some of the books that I'm considering. Additionally, I have an arc for Poison the Well by J.K. Divya, and I'm really looking forward to that one. I don't really know what prompts it will fit, but it's a novella, so it's relatively short, and I think I'm sure if nothing else, it will fit some of the attack or save prompts. And then I have a novella by Mike Mullman. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. I think it's his new sci-fi So that one is definitely on my want to read list. I have that. Those two are on my Kindle. And so I'm going to make friends with my Kindle and my books. And then for the Booktube Besties Retreat, they have a reading game, so I can roll die. And these are like activity prompts. They're not reading prompts. So that'll be a fun thing to add in for tonight. So yeah, most of the filming you'll see, at least for tonight, and maybe part of tomorrow, is going to be in here. This is my bedroom. It's yeah, it's a little, it's not really messy, I guess, but it feels messy in this picture. But this is where we're going to hang out. So the next time I catch up with you, you'll probably see me on the computer hanging out with the Booktube Besties. And then I'll check in and I'll let you know what book I end up choosing to go first. But before all that, I'm going to run upstairs and I'm going to grab myself something to eat and maybe an iced coffee or something to get this night started. Oh, I should say, I'm going to treat this like a 48-hour readathon. I don't plan on staying up for 48 hours, but I will probably stay up pretty late tonight because it's Friday night and I don't have to work tomorrow, and I don't really have to get up. Well, I would say I don't have to get up early, but I am on a schedule for Booktube Besties that is based on the East Coast, and I haven't checked the schedule, but there might be some early stuff. And then I'll get a good night's sleep on Saturday. I've got some church things going on Sunday, so my morning is really pretty full. But when I get home from that, I still have a few hours that I can get some reading in. So I think I've got tonight for as late as I'm willing to stay up, pretty much all day tomorrow, and probably half of Sunday to get some reading done. And I think I can get a few books done in that period of time. But anyway, I will catch you in just a couple of minutes. Do. 6. So if we start 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Get up and move. Okay, I probably should do that. I have been forgetting to record anything. So a lot of things, or a lot of times passed. It is going on 10:30 in the evening, and the sprints, there's still sprints going on the Booktube Besties weekend, but it's kind of slowed down quite a bit. There's not very many of us hanging out still because a lot of them are East Coasters. And sorry about the shaking camera. I'm just holding on to it because I'm too lazy to set it up. But I have finished Spy Family. This is the first one in a manga series, and I'm kind of new to manga. I'm not a huge fan yet, but I am trying to expand my horizons with it a little bit. And right now I'm working on Poison the Well, which is an arc by J.K. Divya. I might have already said all this, but it's a novella, so it's not very long. Take me a couple of hours to read it. I'm actually already 20% into that one, so I anticipate I'll probably finish that one before I crash out for the night. But anyway, that's my update for now. I'm gonna go roll on the board and see if we can do something before this sprint runs out. So 3. 1, 2, 3. Read for 15 minutes. Well, that's about how many minutes I have left in this sprint. So I guess I'll do that. Well, all of the stuff is wrapped up for the night. The sprints are over for the Booktube Besties, and also the sprints for Realmathon that were going on. I tried to pop in over there, but they were just wrapping up too. So I'm about 40% into Poison the Well, and I'm gonna probably keep reading that for a while longer, maybe until it's done, because it probably will only take me another hour and a half maybe to read it. And then I'm gonna get a couple of hours of sleep before everything kicks off again tomorrow morning. So this will be my last update for tonight. Good morning. It's actually already pretty close to 11 o'clock in my time zone, and I have been up since 5:30. So I think I probably got about 4 hours of sleep, maybe 4.5. I don't know. Like, I went to bed after 1 in the morning, and it took me quite a long time to actually fall asleep, and then staying asleep was kind of a challenge, but I still had to get up in time for this gathering, and I got up, pretty much just rolled onto the couch with my laptop, set everything up, and got into the whole Booktube Bestie chat, I guess. I don't know. I'm kind of scatterbrained this morning, so I'm afraid that some of this conversation is going to be a little bit disjointed, and I'm sorry. I probably need to bulk up on some caffeine. But I've got to read a total of 6 pages today so far, because we did have some sprints early this morning, but those sprints I needed to use to take a shower and get myself ready for the day, get dressed, feed the dogs, all those things that all those things that you need to do to be a human being. I had to do during the short sprint times we had this morning, and pretty much the rest of the morning has been engagement with the Booktube Besties community. So I really haven't had any time to read, and that's kind of sad. But I am currently reading Proxima Station by Mike Mullman. This is a novella. It's sci-fi, and the main character is an anthropologist, and the government recruits him, volunteers him to go with them to space to meet these aliens that they've met, and the idea is that the government wants to steal their technology. And that's not a spoiler. That's literally pretty much all in chapter 1, because I'm only partway through chapter 2 of this. And I think it's going to be entertaining and fun. Like, it's written in a tone of voice that sounds a little sarcastic, and I think I'm going to like that part about it. So hopefully I'll get through that today at least, so that I can share that with you. And then on audio, I'm listening to the fourth Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. That's the one that I think I'm going to get just a boatload of points for. And I really can't remember if I did much of a wrap up, but I finished a novella last night that is it's an arc. It doesn't come out till June, so I don't want to talk too much about it just yet, but that one's called Poison the Well by J.K. Divya. And I really enjoyed it. It's definitely different than like most books. It's really more folklore, and I thought that that was really interesting. So there will be more coming on that in my channel in the future. Just I would rather wait till we're a little closer to her release date before I start talking too much about it. But anyway, they're about to get back online, and we're going to have some more engagement time. And I will hopefully catch up with you a little bit later today after I've had some more time to read. Well, that's a wrap on Realmathon Gala of Peace Weekend and the Booktube Besties Retreat. And it was a fabulous weekend. I had a really good time. I think I've probably already expounded all the fun that I had just with the Booktube Besties Retreat, but the Realmathon was also entertaining. I didn't get to put as much time and effort into that as I would have had I not had another event going the same weekend, but I still read 4 books for it, and which gains 40 extra points for Team Clerics. Go Team Clerics. And I think I'm going to wrap up this video and talk about real quick about the books that I read for that event. Now I chose 4. So of the 4 books that I read, 3 of them were very short. I chose a graphic novel, not a graphic novel. I chose a manga and 2 novellas, and then just not a super long fantasy book. So, and the reason I chose to do that instead of like big bulky books was because the points that I gain for each book doesn't get multiplied over the gala weekend. You simply get 10 extra points per book. So it doesn't matter if I read a 600-page book or something like that that meets all of this criteria and I get all of these points for it, I'm still only getting 10 extra points. So I might as well use this opportunity to read the books that I need or want to get read this month that wouldn't otherwise bulk up a lot of points, but they take less time. Because over 2 days, I'm not typically going to get 4 books read. So the first book I read was Spy Family, and I read the first one. And I don't know if it's Spy Family or Spy Times Family, but I'm just going to call it Spy Family. And this is by Tatsuya Endo, and it was recommended to me by Tori from Tori Talks, and I'm not a big manga fan. The first book I did was The Apothecary Diaries, and I talked about that in my February wrap-up. And it was a cute story, and I didn't mind it. And since then, I've read one other one and then this one. And I liked this one. I appreciated that there was more reading to this. And I think I mentioned earlier in one of the clips that I put together for this that the reason I figured this was fair game for this is because it is 220 pages of manga and it is fairly dense in its writing. So it's not like the last book that I read was Cat Plus Gamer, and it was a lot of art and not a lot of dialogue. That's the word I'm looking for. So this one is about a man who is a spy, and he has to come up with a family so that he can infiltrate this elite school. So he needs a child that he can enroll in the school. But to get a child enrolled in the school, he has to be married, and he has to have like this perfect family story. Otherwise, they don't consider them elegant enough, I think is the term that is used in here. But he's a spy and he adopts a little girl who is a telepath. And they don't really talk about, or they don't really find out that she's a telepath in through this story, or at least most of it. And that's kind of a weird dynamic, a child that it can read an adult's mind and has her interpretation of some of the things that he's thinking in his head is kind of interesting. It's entertaining, it's funny, and then sometimes it's also a little sad. But then he has to find a wife, and he meets a woman who is an assassin. Now, through this whole thing, none of them knows what each other is, except for the little girl who understands that he's a spy. I don't think she knows that the woman is an assassin. But anyway, the wife is kind of badass and funny at the same time. I really did enjoy this, and I got the next two on my Libby, so I have them in digital form that I can read next, and I am going to pick those up and read those just kind of as filler between books over the next couple of weeks, I think. The next book that I finished was Poison the Well by J.K. Divya, and this is an ARC that I received from the author. I found her on Instagram, and I read one of her other books in February, and I enjoyed that one. It was also it was a novella, and this one is a novella. This one, Poison the Well, is actually just shy of 100 pages. I didn't even get page points for it because the book has to be 200 pages to even have points for that. And so this particular book wasn't a lot of points outside of it, but I still needed to read it, and I didn't want to put it off because sometimes with ARCs, I will put them off until I'm not excited about them anymore. And I wanted to make sure that I got this one sooner rather than later. And I'm not going to talk about this one a whole lot because it doesn't even come out till June. I would say it falls under the category of maybe mythological horror or Celtic folklore with kind of a scary element to it. And I did enjoy this one very much. It's not the type of book that I normally would read, but I did like it. And I will be putting up a review for that and talking about it more in detail when it gets a little bit closer to June. There'll be more to come on this, probably late April, maybe in May. Then the next book that I read is called Proxima Station by Mike Mullman. This is an indie author, and I have read another one of his books before. The last one I read, I did over my January New Year's readathon, and that one was called Becoming a Druid, and I liked that one a lot. So I'm going to try to get through Mike's backlog of books over a period of time, and this is a relatively short one. This is a novella. It was 121 pages. It's a humorous sci-fi. The story it's like reading a humorous Star Trek episode, and it's about a guy who's an anthropologist that gets voluntold to go to space and help them to get to know these various races of aliens so that they can get them to give us their technology. And all of the aliens in it are, I don't know, they're basically the kinds of aliens that you would see in either Star Trek or maybe some Star Wars type of characters or Men in Black. And I really felt it was a lot like Star Trek meets Men in Black. The humor was, I don't know, I laughed a lot through it. I don't think it's going to be the kind of sci-fi story that everybody likes, but I got a kick out of it, and I'm going to read the next one that he has out in that series called Jungle Planet. And I think he's got 4 more in the series that he's planning on releasing over time. So I'll probably read them. They're quick, easy to read. I did get the audio for it. I have the Kindle Unlimited version of the book, and I did both. I listened to it and read it in tandem. I thought the audio was really well done, considering it's an indie author novella. But if that's your thing, I would pick it up and give it a shot because it was entertaining. The last one I read, and this one was worth the most amount of points, and I would not actually have read this month. It wasn't on my TBR or really on my radar. I was looking through my books on Friday trying to just pick something or a couple of things that I might be sparked to be in the mood for. And the one I ended up going with was Violet Thistlethwaite is Not a Villain Anymore. This is by Emily Kempfels. And I struggled with this one for a little while, and it's because I'm not really into cozies. And I don't mind romantasy, but like my preference is a fantasy that might have a romance subplot in it. But this is specifically romantasy. I enjoyed the story. I thought it was kind of it was a unique premise. I think the name gives it away in that it says that the main character is a villain, and she's basically trying to start her life over and not be a villain because the evil wizard or mage or whatever he was that she worked for or who raised her died, and she left his castle and went to this little town that was nearby and became a florist using her magic. And I thought that was a really cute premise. I like flowers, I like gardening, so that kind of stuff is interesting to me. It's definitely a grumpy sunshine trope, not something I'm typically a fan of. But and I would say that was probably the hardest part for me, because when you have a grumpy sunshine trope, you have to be in the headspace of the character that is grumpy, and it annoys me quite a bit. So, but overall, this story has some twists in it that I wasn't expecting. There were some things that I saw coming. Like there were a couple of elements to the story that I predicted, and I don't know if it was easily predictable or yeah, it was probably easily predictable. Yeah. Anyway, but not all the twists in this were predictable. I really liked the way the ending was done in this, and that was probably the redeeming quality in this story. The rest of it was a combination of being cute and annoying and boring, and then at the end it got good. So I it wasn't my favorite romantasy, which I didn't expect it to be because it's a cozy. And this is probably not a book I would have bought for myself. It was an Owl Crate special edition, so it is absolutely a beautiful book. I think I've shown it off on my channel before, but who can resist showing it off? The art inside is gorgeous. The cover inside is like the original. I'm just gonna take it off because it's fun, but it has the original cover art on the inside. Nope, it's not the original. I thought it was the original, but it's not. But anyway, I like the art. I like all of the art. I like the art on the cover. I like the art just on the hardcover. Yes, there is a dog in this story, which is always a bonus. But yeah, so I did, for the most part, enjoy the books that I read over the weekend. And I earned 40 extra points on top of the ones that I used to either attack other realms or contribute to my realms. I think I did tally up all the points, or I thought I did. And then when I was reading through them, I was a little confused about some of how the points worked, and it doesn't matter to me. So you just go in and you fill out a form and it does all the math for you. And that's exactly the way I like it. That was my weekend. It was fun. I got to read, I got to hang out with other readers, and it was exactly why I got into this YouTube space, was so that I could make those kind of connections and relationships. And you couldn't have made me any happier for my weekend had I got to go to an in-person book fair or something like that. Well, I would have enjoyed that too. So if you made it this far with me today, thank you. Thank you for stopping by my channel and spending some time with me today. If you participated in the Realmathon's Gala of Peace this weekend, I would love to hear about what you read. If not, if you'd just like to help my channel out and leave me a comment, any emoji will do. Maybe, I don't know if they have dragons. Maybe a dragon or a crystal ball or something magical to go along with the violet thistleweight. Maybe anything purple would work too. But I hope that you will continue to come back. Please like, subscribe, leave comments, share with your friends. And I hope that you'll stop by and visit me on Thursday for Thirsty Thursday, book and a beverage. I'll see you then. Thanks.